Today you can learn everything that you need to know about n8n as a beginner and how to create your first n8n workflow, okay? And including this template right here that you can download for free, guys. So go ahead, check out below the video in the description box. There's a link to download this entire JSON template. And once you do, just go to your n8n. And by the way, you can create an account by using the link also below the video. There's a link to n8n and just create an account. And once you do, you can essentially create your first workflow. I'm going to show you in a second how to do that. And once you do, just go and click on these three dots right here and click on import from file. And then you can import that JSON template and you will essentially have all of this that's on my screen in your n8n as well. And don't worry if you don't understand everything that's happening here. Okay, it might be looking like a bunch of gibberish. I'm going to explain everything to you step by step as a beginner. And also I've including these notes that essentially explain what these notes do, how they function, really the key features, and also I'm including a sticky note in a sense to explain how everything works together, how the nodes are combining, what's the flow and stuff like that, guys. So it's really clear and easy to understand. But again, if you have any questions after the video, don't hesitate and let me know down in the comments your question. And also you can join my personal Discord channel where I will be answering all of your questions. And also I'll be sharing a bunch of n8n templates time to time with you guys, okay? So make sure to go ahead and check it out. All the links are below the video. Okay, so what is n8n? n8n essentially, it's a platform aimed to automate processes and business logic in a sense. So for example, if you are somebody who is doing a lot of social media, okay, I'll give you a basic example. So you have a brand and social media account and you're doing a lot of different posts on a daily basis. So you take pictures, stuff like that. Then you need to drop them into Instagram, add hashtags, do descriptions, okay, post it there, and then you need to do the same thing or maybe slightly different based on the based on social platform. For example, what works on Instagram, it probably isn't going to work on a LinkedIn if you're kind of B2B business, or for example, if you're just B2C, okay, then whatever works on Twitter, on X, it won't convert as good as it would be on Instagram. So you would need to tailor the content for each of the platforms, but you can create an automation, for example, with n8n that will have a AI agent or team of AI agents that will essentially create the content based on your brand. Okay, so it will have an access to your brand voice, brand tone, and everything it needs to have about your brand. And you can even leave some custom instructions. Okay, it can either do the basics and just add hashtags, descriptions, and auto post across your different platforms and change the description based on the platform. Or there are even APIs, or essentially think of them as bridge between the apps, so you can connect n8n to a custom app that can actually design or adjust the design of your Instagram post, even the graphics and the lightning and stuff like that. So there's some custom apps that you connect, which will essentially auto design everything based on the prompt. So you can literally have a social media assistant that is AI agent and handles all your social media channels. And essentially all of that can be achieved with n8n. And again, this is a really simple example. You can also automate, voice assistants. You can have like virtual sales assistants, meaning that they can actually call with voice and generate leads for you, log everything into an Excel sheet, or maybe for the front desk, customer support, and essentially anything that has a software or is handled through a computer or phone can be automated using n8n. I know that sounds pretty fun, guys, but again, before you get into the more complex stuff, guys, you need to learn the basics, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. Okay, I'm going to teach you the basics and the notes, how everything connects on a basic level, on a beginner level, guys. And once you grasp these concepts, you'll be able to build more advanced and complex stuffs, guys. Okay, and gradually I will be building out also more advanced level n8n flows and also doing videos on that, guys. So make sure to subscribe to my channel. You're gonna find some cool stuff in there, like automating faceless videos and stuff like that, guys. So make sure to subscribe and enable notifications, because I'm always dropping these free videos and always including free JSON templates with that. Cool, guys. So now you kind of get an idea what n8n is, how it works in a basic sense. So now let's kind of go over this flow and let me explain you how everything works and what it is. All right. So the first one right here, it's essentially what we call a trigger node. So the trigger node we're using here is a chat message node, okay, meaning that it's a sort of a way to communicate with AI agent or AI. So it's literally a chat input, like right here. If you look on the left corner side, okay, this is how I communicate with AI agent, okay. And this AI agent essentially is a research AI agent that can do research on topics like AI and stuff like that, because I predefined the system message for that, and I'll explain that just in a second, all right? But for now, let's focus just on the node. So these are trigger nodes that initiate or trigger an action in n8n. So it can be either chat node, it also could be something like manual node. Let me just show you guys that in a sec. So here we have either triggering manually, meaning that you can trigger workflow manually. Okay, if it's not a chat input, if it's more of a just like classic automation, when when this happens, then do this and that, and it kind of goes through the flow. You can trigger it manually. Then you can have it on app event, so you can essentially connect your n8n workflow to a mobile app if you have one. So, for example, when something happens in n8n, which is a trigger action node, then trigger the n8n flow and do whatever the flow is supposed to do. Okay, then on a schedule, meaning that you can, for example, schedule something like, it's really common for these days for automated faceless videos. Okay, so you can have a n8n flow that generates faceless videos on, for example, I don't know, motivational topics. So you're gonna have a AI that generates videos using something like File API. You can do either VO3 or maybe Hilo. Minamax is cheaper. Again, guys, I have a couple of videos on my channel, so make sure to check it out. And then you connect that to 11 Labs for voiceover, and then you can stitch it all together, add some subtitles or captions, whatever, and again, merge it all together and auto post it to your YouTube or other social media channels, okay? And essentially, on a schedule, you can put it that, okay, do this every day at, I don't know, like 9 p.m. or whatever the time you guys set. So every day at 9 p.m., the flow will run and generate new face video on a, on a different, based on a different script, but under the same niche, for example, motivation videos. So every day you're going to be generating new face videos that will be auto posted to your YouTube shorts, for example. So that's sort of a business automation strategy that's very popular on YouTube these days. So you only set it up once, and then it runs daily and generates videos for you. You can do it twice a day or whatever the schedule you want. And you can auto post to different platforms too. Okay. Then we have on webhook call. Essentially, it's a HTTP request, so it can be coming from a different API. Okay, so you can connect it to different APIs. And again, think of APIs as a bridge between two platforms or softwares. In this case, between n8n and different platform. Okay, it can be a server or different application. It can be something like connecting it to your 11 Labs account. So you can have a voice agent in 11 Labs that will, for example, if it needs to gather some data about the business and you have all the database agent, you have an AI agent that handles the database in n8n and connects to all the sources. Then essentially, once the user says, hey, can you tell me more about a business? 11 Labs captures that, sends the HTTP request webhook to n8n, and then n8n agent handles everything and then sends it back to 11 Labs agent. Okay, so essentially communication between the two platforms that's happening through the webhook. Okay, so it's a hook. So web, that's where the name is coming from. It's a web hook in a sense. So it hooks two platforms together and communicates the data real time in between them. Then we have on form submission. So n8n does offer its own form submission URL. So if you do that, it's good for like lead gen and whatever. If like you have clients or you have a reason to collect some data from the form. So n8n does offer native form submission, meaning that customer enters something on a form which is hosted by n8n, and that data is sent to your n8n, and then you either I don't know, analyze it, categorize it, or send it to your CRM if you want to do it for lead gen and stuff like that, and then maybe generate follow-ups through email if you're doing something like lead gen pipeline. So form submission, AI agent tries to contact through the email. If not, then you have like a couple more 5 sequences of the email, and essentially in that direction, guys. Then we have one executed by another workflow. So in it, and you can have different workflows and they connect between each other. So the way it works, you can have this one right here. Okay, so when something happens in this workflow, then trigger then the other one, and there's a special node essentially to send one workflow to a subflow, and they essentially can communicate between each other. So you can build a literally team or army of AI agents that communicate between each other, and they do something different. For example, you have like AI assistant agent, which is the brain, and then it's if you say something like, okay, can you create a post, then schedule it to my Instagram, then send me a update to Telegram, and then put it to the calendar. And essentially, AI agent is the brain, and then it sends social media post to the agent that handles that and to that subflow. Then it's going to send it to another subflow that's handling Telegram and stuff like that, guys. That's kind of what the idea on chat message. So again, I believe that's one we're using over here. So yeah, this is the one we're using over here on chat message. When chat happens, then you trigger it. And this one's also, again, less commonly used. We're running evaluation. So that's if you're working with like data processing and data analyses. Okay, so essentially you can run your data set through the workflow, okay, for performance reasons, stuff like that. Not commonly used. And you have different options here, right here, okay. Error trigger. So if there's error, you can, trigger an action. And again, these are less common ones, except for this one, MCP server trigger. That's a pretty common one. So it's essentially a way to communicate with a different tool without creating subflow in a sense. Okay, so for example, the way it works, you can have something like this. Okay, that's gonna be the trigger, and this MCP server trigger will have a bunch of tools. For example, it can have something like Gmail, and then you're gonna, have all the Gmail events like send email, get all the email stuff like that. So you're gonna assign all the events here, and then you're gonna have a agent with a MCP tool, which will then send those actions to this MCP trigger, guys. So actually here, I'm gonna show you quickly a flow I have already based on that. So here we have a agent, and essentially it's handling Gmail and Google Calendar. And here we have MCP servers locally. Again, it's just the easiest example. This is MCP server trigger. So every time a agent needs to, for example, do something with the Gmail here, we have MCP tool. It has a SEC endpoint, okay, or a URL, and then it connects it to the Gmail server trigger. And here the URL is coming from here, okay. So each MCP server trigger has a URL, which then is used by the MCP tool right here. Okay, so when I ask the agent, hey, can you tell me what's on my on my calendar for tomorrow? And it's gonna essentially see that there's a Google Calendar tool. It's gonna connect to the MCP node first, and then it's gonna send that request to the MCP server Google Calendar tool, and then it's gonna go through all these events, and then it's gonna send it back to the agent. Again, guys, MCP is a little bit more complex topic, but I do have a full tutorial where I explain what it is and how it works on my YouTube channel. So make sure to go check it out as well. Okay, so that's essentially for the trigger nodes. And then we have the main nodes. This is actually one of the most popular ones. So AI agent node. The way you can get it, you can go here to add node, and you can just type in AI and AI agent, okay, and just add it in. And what's cool about it that essentially it creates a autonomous agent that can perform actions on its own based on set of basic instructions. Okay, hey, can you check my Gmail and Outlook? And it's gonna do it without actually even adding any prompt here. So here I added for, just to be more precise. But even if I take all this out and I say, hey, can you check my Gmail or Outlook? And if I have Gmail or Outlook connected with all the events, it will understand that, okay, the user is asking about Gmail, so I need to check if there's any tool called Gmail or Outlook. Okay, so it's pretty smart. This way, it's, in a sense, that's why it's kind of autonomous. It can decide and think on its own, kind of in basic terms. And then AI agent, essentially, you can define the prompt, okay, or system message. Okay, so the prompt essentially, it's more of a, user instruction or your prompt or whatever you're telling it to do. And just the message is more of a to define the character or behavior that would be kind of a permanent constant. Okay, so like you are an expert in XYZ field, okay, or every time user does this, you should do this. So it's more of like a defined and permanent character or behavior that you want your AI to have on top of the prompt itself. Okay, and the prompt essentially is an instruction to your AI agent, and it is as simple as chatting with ChatGPT. But again, the more clear instructions you give, the better the output will be. So here you first of all usually define, the what it is. Okay, is it an expert in I don't know, data analysis? Is it an expert in social media? Is it a marketing expert and stuff like that? So you define what it is, and then we essentially also use the variables. Okay, the variables in n8n come as a in double curly brackets. Okay, so if I want to pull a variable from different node, I would do something like double brackets, $sign, JSON, dot, and then it's going to give you a options available from the previous node. Okay, so it's always going to be pulling the available data from the previous node. It's not going to be pulling the data from the node in front of it, so it's going to be pulling it from the node behind it, in a sense, in simple terms. Okay, so since we have a chat trigger, it has a chat input one. Okay, so it's coming from the chat node. Okay, so that's why it's available. And also session ID, I believe, is also coming from the chat input. Okay, it does send a session ID by default. All right, so here I can do it like this, chat input. So that will be essentially taking in the, whatever my question in the chat input box. So right now I'm duplicating it. I don't need it. But in a sense, that's how you are working with variables. Okay, so here I have a more complex one. But again, this is really, the basics of the JavaScript, guys. You don't need to think about it or, be worried about it. You can always get these ones from Cloud or ChatGPT. So just whatever, go to ChatGPT and say something like, hey, can you give me a timestamp that contains the time and the date in n8n, expression or JavaScript format. Okay, and it's going to give it to you. So again, new date, again, it's just, evoking the function of the date, and then it's converting it to ISO string. Again, it's a function, evoking the function, and then it's splitting it to essentially have this format right here, guys. Okay, if you want me to drop a course more, I guess, for beginners in terms of like how to work with JavaScript within n8n, let me know down in the comments. I'll definitely do that as well, guys. Okay. Okay, then we're defining the guidelines. Again, because I'm using a web scraping tool called Tavily. Okay, and every request does cost you money after you exceed your 1,000 free requests for the month. But again, I do suggest using Tavily because with the free account you get 1,000 requests for web scraping. I'm gonna touch on that just in a bit. So just to kind of be conservative on requests and tokens, I'm saying, hey, don't do more than 5 to 10 web pages per task, just to be conservative with the tokens. Okay. Then I'm saying you can use the web scraper tool, although it would do that by default. But just in case, then I'm saying if page fails to load, try alternative sources or websites. And then essentially just more stuff. And then I'm saying important. So if there's something important that you want or don't want the AI agent to do, always do as a capitalized important or like a note. And then you say essentially structure final response with this exact field. And again, I'm doing this because I have an Excel sheet that expects this format. So if I don't do that, it just might not, it might not just output the format correctly into Excel sheet, okay? Because this is a dependency for the Gmail and also for Excel sheet. And I'm gonna talk about it just in a second as well, guys. Don't worry about it. Cool. So here I'm defining essentially the structure for a final output for the Gmail and for Excel sheet. And here I'm essentially saying the data structure for Excel sheet, okay? Because if I look at my Excel sheet, guys, and again, this is also included in the below the video in the description box. There's a link for this Excel sheet. So once you download the JSON and do everything on your own, you'll be able to log everything on the same Excel sheet. And also you have some data set with some examples how I did it. All right. So just kind of telling what are the expectations for the Excel sheet. So AI agent knows how to format it and how to work with it. So it doesn't throw an error that there is, unexpected something. It's pretty common. Cool, guys. So now a AI agent has a couple of things attached to it, sort of a brain. So AI agent on its own doesn't do anything unless you attach the AI model node. Okay, so this is a node. So if I disconnect it here, you plus sign, you have different options. You have Claude. Okay, you have essentially all the most popular AI models available. I'm most of the time using OpenAI because it's fairly cheap. But if you need something high quality, for example, if you're doing social media content or LinkedIn posts, I highly encourage you guys use Claude because it won't sound too robotic where OpenAI can. You will need to do a lot of prompting and adjusting for OpenAI might not sound, more human-like. But if you want to use something without too much work and adjustment, I do suggest Claude, because it's just much better in terms of quality for the content than OpenAI. Okay, but if you need to just crunch some data, some summarization, like I'm doing right here, the best one is obviously OpenAI because it's cheap. You can just feed it like huge data sets, and it's not going to be costing you that much. Where with the cloud, you can hit your API limits pretty fast, because for new accounts they are limiting the API to like 50 RPM, I believe, something like that. So it's very limited. If you are just dropping $5 on your cloud API, guys. Okay, so OpenAI is the way to go for beginners. I highly do suggest that. And the way you can pull the OpenAI API keys, guys, because right here, you won't have it by default. You will need to create a credential. And here's the API key. So all you need to do, you're going to go to OpenAI. You're going to go to login, API platform. Then you're going to go to dashboard here. Then you're going to go to API keys, and you're going to create one right here. So create API key, copy, paste it into your API key right here, guys. And again, don't expose it publicly. Don't share it to your friends, whatever, if you want to. But again, if somebody has your API key, they can just use it and just exceed all your credits, and that's it. Again, it's not a really emergency. If you leak your OpenAI key, just literally delete it, and that's pretty much it. They don't have access to your actual account, even if your API key is exposed. Just delete it and create a new one, and don't share it with anybody again. And once you do that, you're going to go to settings here. Then you're going to go to billing, and you're going to here add credit. Okay, put something like $10 and add credit card, and then your API key will be funded and ready to go, guys. Okay, and that's essentially how you add API keys for your n8n. Then we're using simple memory. So simple memory, it's sort of a kind of a local database, or so if you look on the left, it's storing up to 5 conversations that I have with the AI agent. Okay, so 5 context windows, meaning it has an access to 5 chat histories, or whatever, 5 context windows. Okay, you can increase this, but don't forget, every time you make a request, it's gonna go back and look at these ones. So if you put something like 50, it's just gonna really eat your tokens at much faster pace, because instead of 5, now it's looking back to 50 conversations, for example. And again, it's local. It's not an actual database. So the simple memory is essentially local memory within n8n. And if you do refresh, I believe that will be reset and deleted. Then we're using a third-party node, which is Tavily, and Tavily is essentially a web scraper. So meaning that it can scrape the web. So it can actually go on websites and access the links and go into a deep search. If you ask me, doesn't ChatGPT do that? No, it doesn't. It has a basic one. So the way ChatGPT works, for example, if I go to Google and I do something like latest trends in AI, the way it works, it's going to find, for example, this link right here. It's going to go here. It's going to click on it, and then it's going to kind of see the closest match to request, and here's going to click on this one. So the way ChatGPT works, it actually kind of mimics the behavior of a human. So kind of a clicking, opening link, clicking, opening link, where the web scrapers actually access everything in a form of the data. So they parse all the content. They can actually scrape the sitemaps and kind of like pages that are not visible to ChatGPT. Okay, because there's a lot of pages and links behind the scenes, so it can access sitemaps. It can sort of bypass the are you a human, stuff like that, guys. Some APIs can. So it has a lot of benefits, because it can actually scrape all of the data from the website and then send it to your n8n workflow, and then you can analyze and just really get much richer data sets. So frequently used for spying on your competitors, for example, or have web scrapers that kind of check the price changes on Amazon. So there's a lot of platforms where you can kind of get notified when there's a drop in the price. So all of that is handled by web scrapers. They constantly go and scrape the latest price, like every, I don't know, 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever the schedule. And the web scraper goes and checks for the data and then sends it back. Okay, so that's essentially how scraping works in short, basic terms. And setup is really easy, guys. Just go to tavily.com, create an account, and you get 1,000 requests monthly for absolutely free. Or even if you have a pay per request, I believe something like 0.0008 cents. So it's pretty cheap, guys. So definitely check it out. Tablet is one of the most affordable ones and easy to use. All I did, create an account, uh, pull the API key, put it in your credentials, and you are good to go. Cool, guys. Then we have a Google Sheets. Okay, so I'm using Google Sheets to essentially store the findings. On top of that, I'm sending it to Gmail. Just I'll discuss that in a short, just in a bit. So pulling first all the data from getting all the rows from the list right here. So that it works, I'm just going to kind of select it from the list. Once you connect your Google account, it's really easy. You're going to go here, create your credential, and literally just sign in with Google. And once you do, it's going to link all the required events for Google Sheets and Calendar and stuff like that for Gmail. And you don't need to do anything really complicated. Just literally log in, and everything will be synced on its own. And then you're going to create the Excel sheet here, or just copy paste it, okay? Bring it to your Google Sheets. And once you do that, you will be able to like select it from here. So this way we are essentially giving access to AI to pull all the rows or data from the Excel sheet, okay? Just so it can verify everything. And then to update it, we're using something like this. It's also a Google tool. So essentially you can just copy paste this node right here, okay? And then just change the action instead of, maybe I want to like delete. Okay, now this event will be able to delete something from an Excel sheet, okay, by using AI. So you can say like, hey, can you delete this row or column? And it's going to do it for you guys, okay? Cool. So I'm using also updates. So because when we are finding the data and summarizing and cleaning up the data, we're sending that to an Excel sheet in this format right here. So timestamp is a query, URLs we scraped, key findings. Okay, we're using append or update because maybe one or the second one, the same spreadsheet. Okay, these are selected automatically. And this is kind of an important part. Okay, so here we need to sort of define, but again, this is all defined by AI. This is all from AI, guys. So in your case, if you see this, don't worry about it. If it's empty, I don't think it should, because once you download the template, I believe this all will be already pre-filled for you. But if not, just click on this star right here, meaning that you will let AI to handle all the entries. So it already has the context. It has all the column names. So it knows that there is timestamp. It knows this is user query. So it will be able to fill in those on its own. Just click on the star, and this way it's going to be able to fill in all the data on its own. As a beginner, that's really the best way to do it. Just make sure that these columns are matching here. So if you're saying, AI agent, can you fill in the timestamp and timestamp, make sure that all these are matching in here, guys. And again, you'll be able to download this entire Excel sheet and just kind of look at it yourself and analyze and kind of see how things connect. So once you do it yourself, things will become much, much clearer. And then finally, essentially, we're sending everything to a Gmail node. So the Gmail tool is like any other tool. So you have a lot of tools available here, guys. So all of these are tools that you can do something with AI agents. So instead of creating a bunch of different subflows, meaning different agents that can perform those actions, you can handle everything with one agent through a tool. You have a bunch of stuff, guys, here. So again, there are more complex ones. You can access the databases. Vector store, again, that's like to create more semantic searches for the databases, more complex topics, guys. I'll be releasing also a video on creating a AI RAG agent that can sort of search the database in a semantic way. It's more advanced topic, but if you guys are curious, make sure to subscribe so you get notified when I drop this video. All right. Cool, guys. So again, a lot of tools here. Can't really go over all of them. But if you have questions about specific tools, or if you want me to create a beginner-friendly content around one of these tools, let me know down in the comments, and I'll definitely drop a free video on that as well. Cool. So let's go back to Gmail node, and essentially the only thing it does, it sends a message. If you want to do something else, just literally copy paste the node like this and change the event or operation, like delete, remove, and you can essentially have a Gmail assistant that can handle your entire Gmail if you want to. I believe I also have a video on that on my channel, so check it out. But right here in the context of this AI agent, all we're doing, we're just sending the whole data that it's scraped and summarized and found to my personal Gmail. So here I'm using a bit of, I guess that's really the most complex part. Within this tutorial, I made a custom HTML template. Again, I used AI to do that. Although I can do it myself, there's absolutely zero point of you sitting down and spending like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes to type this out manually. Doesn't make sense. So you can always ask, AI agents to write the code for you, because, there's nothing to prove to yourself. If you really wanted to learn, you can do it. But again, everything is about being efficient in these days. So here we have a basic HTML or basic markup language for the HTML. Pretty standard for emails. I'll show you exactly how that looks as a final result. So just some HTML, CSS for styling. Then we're plugging these variables, guys. Okay, so just if you look at these ones here, and if I go back to this one right here, guys, you will see that these are the exact match variables, okay? And they're coming from here, from my agent. If I open it here, so we're defining here, saying that, hey, you have access to all of these ones, okay? So search URLs, key findings, stuff like that. And this way it knows what to do with it, okay? So when it hits the Excel sheet, it knows it needs to find it right here and input the data. And when it hits the Gmail tool, it knows it needs to essentially find it in here and input the data in here. So kind of filling in the missing pieces in a way. So here you can see the preview for my previous query. My query was, what about n8n? So essentially I just asked, like what about the n8n trends? And then it gives me sort of a summary about n8n, then it gives me kind of key findings, the URL it went through, and then some suggestions, guys, okay? So let me quickly test drive this for you and show you how that works, all right? Let me just quickly refresh this one. So here I'm gonna go to chat input, okay? And I'm gonna say something, what are the latest trends in automation? Okay, so I'm going to send it here. It sends the input to agent. Agent does scraping. The scraping was pretty fast. It sent it now the result to OpenAI, and OpenAI model will analyze it, and then it's going to plug it into a Excel sheet and send me a Gmail summary. So if you look here, I think I already did it. Oh, there you guys. If you guys saw it, it was pretty fast, but it appeared. So here it did everything perfectly. Okay, summary, all the scraping links, cool. And now let's go ahead, and also gives you summary in the n8n directly. So now let's go to my Gmail and see if it sent me an email, and it did right here. So it looks, the only thing I forgot to, okay, the problem is I forgot to mention to which email to send. Okay, so that's kind of the mistake. I need to say something. Please send me this to my email. Okay, so if you guys are watching it, don't forget to mention the email. Because you need to tell to which email to send, okay? Send this to my email, okay, cool. So now we should receive it in the properly formatted way, because what now says like, hey, I try to send it, but there is no email, which just makes sense. And we're using my Gmail account, so try to send Gmail, there's no address, so it throws this error. It's pretty standard. Actually, we'll adjust it a little bit. Always double check if user wants to receive an email summary. Then we're going to say, if yes, ask for an email. And then if no, don't send any emails. Okay, so just a minor adjustment. That should do the trick. Let's give it a try now. Okay, let's just copy paste the same query. Let's see if that works. Sorry, guys. Okay, yeah, perfect. So to and my email here. Okay, there you go. Now it should be fine. Okay, it's processing data and we are good to go. So send an email. So everything checked out well, I think. And now it's going to give a summary. So let's go ahead and check out if we got the email. It might take a second. Yeah, here it is, guys. So we got it now. So if I open it, I have this like nicely formatted research summary. So the summary, key findings, the sources, and the next steps, guys. So pretty awesome. You can automate this on adjust it based on your niche. So you have sort of your personal research assistant, or if you want to even spy on your competitors, whatever you guys want to do, you can adjust the flow and use it for your own needs, guys. Okay, so that's essentially it, guys. I hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, always make sure to like and subscribe, because I'll be dropping these ones pretty much every second day or so. And you can join my personal Discord channel, where I can help you personally to, with your n8n workflows, any questions you have. And also I'll be sharing some free n8n exclusive templates in my Discord channel as well, guys. Okay, and as always, I will see you next time.